On this episode of Veterans Health Watch, we'll learn about the VA's unique sports program that enables veterans of all ages and abilities to compete with their peers. Welcome to Veterans Health Watch, a program sponsored by the VA Maryland Healthcare System that provides the latest health and benefits information for Maryland's veterans, their family members, and the local community. I'm Kenya Griffin. America's veterans have a wonderful opportunity to train locally to compete in national sports competitions through the VA's Adaptive Sports Program. We're here at the Perry Point VA Medical Center game room, and joining me is Janelle Howard, the Adaptive Sports Coordinator for the VA Maryland Healthcare System. Janelle, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
So I mentioned Adaptive Sports Program. Explain that to us. What does that mean?
So adaptive sports is essentially taking any sport and modifying it so that everybody with different levels of physical abilities or disabilities can play, like taking the rules and shortening the rules or giving them adaptive equipment.
Okay, and we mentioned that our veterans compete in these adaptive programs, so
yes.
we'll get into that a little bit later about what makes them eligible for the programs. Okay. But tell us about the benefits of competing or training locally and then competing nationally in these programs.
Well, the benefits are endless. I like to think the VA is taking on a whole health project, and so the veterans who compete in these different adaptive sports are able to engage annually, year-round. So we go to the competitions, and as soon as we get back, we reevaluate and we just start over. Mm-hmm.
And so you said you go to the competition, so we'll talk about training here.
Yes.
Because I know it's not just, let's go, let's hop on a plane to go to the competition. There's a lot of work to be done here. Tell us more about some of the national games.
So we recently came back from the Golden Age Games, where we took several veterans who went out and participated, and these veterans are 55 years of age and older. And we competed in 17 different events, going from bowling, bocce, horseshoes, cycling, table tennis, just a full gamut.
And that's the Golden Age Games?
That's the Golden Age Games.
What are some of the other national games?
There's 6 national VA events. There's the Golden Age Games, there's the National Veterans Wheelchair Games, there's the National Veterans Golf Tee, this is the Disabled American Veterans Winter Sports Clinic. There's the National Veterans Summer Sports Clinic, and also the Creative Arts Festival is encompassed within that program.
So who's eligible to participate?
Every veteran who's enrolled in the VA healthcare is eligible to come and participate in any of those events, but each one of the events has special criteria. Right. If you're going to the wheelchair games, of course, you have to be a wheelchair user. Golden Age Games, you have to be 55 years of age or older. Summer Sports Clinic, you need to be injured within within 6 years. Okay. So you have to be within 6 years of your injury. Mm-hmm. Summer Sports Clinic, also you need to have a diagnosis of PTSD, TBI. But the VA has made something for all veterans to be able to participate.
Yeah. Janelle, for those veterans who are dealing with a physical disability, or you mentioned PTSD, even mm-hmm. mental health issues, how are these sports adapted to help them succeed and actually compete? Okay,
that's a great question. I like to individualize the plan. So if it's someone, for instance, with a spinal cord injury who may want to get back into cycling, it starts with education. It's showing them the different equipment. It's actually getting them on the piece of equipment and just setting the goals short, and then helping them reach that long-term goal. And they may not be able to do it this year, but eventually. Okay. I invite them to go and watch other veterans compete. And so the games is also a big social system that veterans can come and they can talk. It's peer support. So it's just a great opportunity.
And you mentioned when you come here, that they use some of the equipment. I assume it's the same equipment they would use when they get to the games?
Yes, that's also what we do at the games. We come back home and we actually try to mimic. We have a great support system here. And I had other people involved who's helped me build some of the equipment, because some of this equipment isn't manufactured as it's adapted. And then we have funding and people donate. And so we've got a great support system, and we have everything that we use at the games here on the campus.
So what about that veteran who hasn't been physically active in a while? They have whatever aging issues, physical disabilities, they're a little unsure about starting again. How do you work with that person?
Well, since it's a team approach, sometimes I may involve another therapist. We had a therapist down at the Loch Raven facility, Sharon Taylor Johnson, who's a kinesiotherapist. And a lot of the veterans that participate have come through her program. So they're working on their fitness with her, and then she refers them to myself.
Okay, so they get a lot of guidance along the way. You're not just kind of thrown into this thing.
That's exactly right.
And what are there any costs associated with participating in these games? We talked about traveling the country.
Well, here with the VA, with the Maryland team, if you're a first-time participant, which we call a novice, we take care of the costs for the first year, and then after that, there's a tier based on your years of participation.
Okay. So if we wanted to learn more about the program, how can someone get started?
You can get started by contacting myself. I'm here at the VA at Perry Point. The number is 410-642-2411, extension 2917. Or you can go on to the VA's website. There's a blog. It's vaadaptivesports.com or .org. I'm not 100% sure.
Okay. And let's talk just a little bit. We're going to go to a break soon, but what are some of the things you do here to get the veterans prepared to compete?
Well, here actually I evaluate all the veterans who want to compete, and I get them engaged in the fitness program. So we try to take care of the whole veteran. So we get them engaged in fitness, and then we actually practice 2 times a week for 4 hours, and then I give them programs to go home with. I help them get their equipment. And I keep them engaged in local programming too, as well as go out into the community.
Great. Well, like I said, we're going to take a short break, but when we return, we'll learn more about the Golden Age Games and meet some of the veterans who competed. So please stay tuned. Welcome back to Veterans Health Watch. I've been talking with Janelle Howard, the Adaptive Sports Program Coordinator for the VA Maryland Healthcare System. And joining us is Miss Odessa Scott, who is one of the adaptive sports athletes. Thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
Janelle, I know you and Miss Scott recently went to a national game with our veterans from Maryland. Tell us about that.
So we traveled to Albuquerque, New Mexico, and participated in the 2018 National Veterans Golden Age Games.
I know you did more than participate.
Well, we actually came back with a couple of winners on the team.
And some of the medals I know are yours, Miss Odessa. Tell us about your categories that you competed in.
I competed in, let's see, I got a medal in second place horseshoes, second place air rifle, and third place shuffleboard.
Not bad, not bad. And so what made you interested in the games? How'd you get started?
I started off at the VA Loch Raven in the MOVE program. Met a lady there that said Sharon Taylor Johnson was looking for a pool shooter. And of course that's me. So, so I ran right up there and joined it. I mean, I didn't know everything else that went with it. Just that I was going to shoot pool. Okay. And then I get involved and find out that there's 16, 17 other different things you can do. Mm-hmm. So, knowing me, I'm going to try to do all of them before I'm finished. So I got in the program, went to Biloxi last year, and then Albuquerque this year.
Okay. Did you participate in the Golden Age Games last year?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And that was your first year?
My first year.
Okay. And so, being a woman, a veteran, a lot of women don't even self-identify as veterans. What has it been like with you or for you to compete with men and predominantly men in the games?
I love it because I like beating them. I mean, I tell them, I want them to try to beat me, because it makes me better. And of course, I talk a whole lot of trash while I'm playing. It doesn't matter what the sport is, I'm talking it anyway. And even when I lose, I'm still talking. And to me, I've noticed that it motivates some of the guys. Some of them will leave and say, I practice all week to come back just to beat you. And I get that all the time, and it's good. I love it because I am competitive like that.
Yeah.
Of course, I still beat them, but you know.
Yeah, of course. And you mentioned that you already played some other sports. You played pool, but you didn't know everything that was involved in the program. What else have you learned, or what skill did you improve on since joining?
I had never heard of National Golden Age Games. I mean, I was just discovering the MOVE program. So then I said, there's something else. You know, there's a lot of veterans that don't look into what's out there. And I was one of them, you know. And a lot of the things you hear word of mouth, because I'm not one of them online people. So just people talking and being around the veterans that were in the MOVE program. You know, they sit around after it's over and they talk. They might stay 2-3 hours after it's over, just talking. And that socialization is what got me here.
And that's what I was going to ask you about next. Beyond the physical benefits of the game or of the games, what other benefits did you get? But you kind of went into that. I want to learn more about the physical benefits for you. You played some sports before. How did the competitive nature or just the physical activity help in your overall health?
Well, I have problems with aching joints, this, that. And the more I keep them moving, the better I'm going to feel. So that's why I try to get involved with everything. I don't do too much fast running or things that would, you know, because I have a back problem. There's too many problems to name. But anything that can keep those things active so that you're not sitting home just doing nothing with your time. You know, and they had something somewhere that you could probably do every day.
Yeah, and Janelle, I'm sure you can attest that as a professional, what benefits do you see in these programs for our veterans?
Well, aside of the guys training throughout the full year, they're working on their nutrition so that they can keep their weight down. They're keeping their joints moving. They're setting their sights on new events. I'm trying to get Miss Odessa engaged in some of the javelin. She practiced that and was fairly good at it. We're competing regionally, actually, with some of the other VAs within our VISN so that we can keep the competition going throughout the year. And also having Miss Odessa dust off her basketball skills.
I knew there was something else there.
It's funny she mentioned that javelin because that's just something I did on a whim. I didn't know I could throw one. But then it was the furthest throw for the female that day. So now, you know, we got
to get you on the team. You have to bring back another medal.
Got to look into that.
And you mentioned talking to the veterans and encouraging them. So you're already recruiting more veterans to participate. So what would you say to a veteran who is a little hesitant in considering the games?
When I have talked to them about Biloxi and Albuquerque and what we did and the fun we had and meeting 1,000 veterans from everywhere talking about any and everything, and the people that were on my pool team that's not connected with the VA, like Chuck, and I'm telling him, well, this is what we did, and that's all you got to do is go do what you do. Yeah. And so that brought him in, and then I've got a cousin that's trying to come in. You know, I'm trying to get some females. You know, it's hard.
Yeah.
You know?
So for our women veterans, there's a place for you in the VA.
And I want them to know if they're over 65, come on and get in so I can beat them up in Alaska.
All right. She's getting ready for Alaska already.
I'm ready.
I want to thank you both for joining us and telling us about this program and for representing Maryland well. We're looking forward to next year. Is there anything else you would like to share about the Adaptive Sports Program?
Like Ms. Odessa was saying, it's for everyone, and we encourage you, no matter what your disability is or your abilities, you're welcome to come and join our team, and not just the Golden Age Games, but also for wellness. You can come here through me, get with some of the other veterans, like she was saying, word of mouth, go on the VA's website, Facebook page, and we would love to have you.
That's great. Thank you again so much. Go VA Maryland. Yeah. All right. We're going to take another break, but when we return, we'll learn about what the VA is doing to help our homeless veterans. So please join us.